Hello guys, I am back from another video and today we're talking about deku was Typhon. So in the last video deku after Izuku was woken up or healed by Asclepius thanks to the help of Thanatos, Nemesis, Ochako, and not Endeavor, I meant All Might, Izuku was revived, or should I say healed, and Izuku after waking up Izuku saw on the news about what happened when he was still in that, you know, sleep status or whatever. After seeing that several of these gods, specifically these gods that were reincarnated into human bodies, Izuku saw Zeus reincarnated and was, a girl on live television, or trying to, until he was stopped by several of the heroes. Izuku felt rage and wanting to punish him for what he did, wanting to get revenge on him for killing his wife. So when Izuku got back to UA, several of his classmates looked at him and felt betrayed somewhat. Felt betrayed that Izuku lied to them for being the literal father of all monsters. As they talked to, Todoroki, apparently Todoroki was eavesdropping on her mother, being Endeavor, and apparently she was talking about a war between the gods and the heroes to try and save the world. Apparently the gods are planning to rule the world again, but some don't really want to rule the world but instead want to protect it. Like for example, Persephone and Hades, they actually want to help humanity. And for many others, they became neutral and don't want to interfere with humans or the gods, but prefer to just, just be alone. Wait for a second. Sorry about that. So, after telling everybody about this information, they were shocked. They were shocked that this war is going to happen very soon, and decided to have a party to just calm down Izuku after making a plan to make these, artificial children of his. His power allows him to create children of monsters, or monsters' children, but they're not actual children, they're just artificially made by using his, well, body parts. By chopping off his more monstrous parts, he's able to create children, and because of that, Izuku is going to make an army of them, similar to like Nomu, but except working with the heroes. After Izuku chopped off all of his parts and putting them in like special cells so they can grow and become actual monsters, Izuku was interrupted by a party. Apparently, everybody wanted to have a party so they can at least help Izuku out and maybe calm him down. But Izuku wants to get some rest and decide to, you know, make more monsters. But Thanatos otherwise decided to make Izuku try and have some fun. But after the party, Izuku felt a bit calmer and felt like a big burden came off of his shoulders. But another burden has come, being that four girls decided to drag him to the bedroom, and you know what happens. Take a guess what. Anyways, so that was basically the end of the last episode, and today we're gonna talk about what happens next. So, let's talk about what happens next. So, Izuku wakes up in his bed, naked, as Izuku feels four bodies around him. One in his left arm, the other in his right arm, the other one near his, chest, and the other one nearly at his crotch. As Izuku takes off the blanket, Izuku sees four girls, being Todoroki, Momo, Bakugo, and his stepsister, Ochako. After seeing this, Izuku gets out of the bed quietly and starts going to the bathroom to change and also make breakfast. So, When Izuku gets out of the bathroom quietly, Izuku goes to the kitchen to start making breakfast. Everybody wakes up as they basically say the same thing. What the heck happened last night? As Ochako said this, did I just seriously do that to my own brother? Oh god. Is this technically wrong in many ways, or is it, I mean, we're not blood related or anything like that, but we feel like we're actually brother and sister, but this is just, what is this feeling? As for Bakugo, she says this, um, did I seriously just give my first time to a monster? Oh god. As for Todoroki, she just stands there, just calmly. But in the inside, she was like, completely flustered as all hell. And finally, for Momo, she says this. So finally, my purpose is done. As all of them just looked over and see, well, Momo, as when she said that, one of them being Ochako said this. What do you mean by purpose? As she says this. Well, isn't it obvious? Well, my father told me that I was supposed to, get Izuku's seed and get pregnant from him. Um, Sorry about that. Wait for a second. Sorry about that. So, after everybody heard that, they say this. Wait, you're trying to get pregnant? As she says this. Yeah, that is why I broke most of the condoms. As they looked over and see some of the rubbers, or whatever you want to call them, well, had holes. As, well, Todoroki, instead of being, well, her calm self, she started, well, blushing a lot. While still having that, not really calm face, but more, well, terrifiedly calm. Like, that, nervous face that you would see in anime. That's what she's basically looking like. As for Bakugo, she said this. You broke the goddamn... Oh no. I'm not ready to be a mother. God dang it. As for Choco, she says this. Alright, this is very wrong in many ways. Especially because you're technically brother and sister. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. If that literally comes out, like, if that comes out in the classroom, that means my social life is doomed. As for Momo, for Momo, she just says this. I don't really care. Oh well, at least I'll get a shot from this. As she starts touching her belly. As all of them just look at, well, Momo in disgust. As she says this. Oh, come on. You might have liked it as well. I mean, just go into my, shoes then. Bakugo just says this. Whatever. Maybe I should just abort it or something. As Ochako just says this. Um, I think it's better if we just not. As she says this. Yeah, says Todoroki. Besides, maybe... wait for a second again. Maybe we might not be pregnant. Or maybe might be a fluke or something, says Todoroki, but in the inside she's still kind of terrified what is gonna happen to her after her mother finds out. So, when they decide to, well, put on their clothes and start going into the, outside, they see Izuku cooking breakfast. As all of them start blushing, except for, well, Momo. As Izuku just says this, alright, you can just, eat breakfast while well, start going, to my job or whatever. As all of them just shake their head as they start eating dinner. Not dinner, I meant breakfast. As for Izuku, he starts leaving to go to the facility to start making more monsters. So, when Izuku gets there, Izuku's still completely red. As Izuku goes into the facility. Wait for a second. So, Izuku looks at the monster's progress. As Izuku looks over and sees the brand new monster children. Or the monster's infant stage. the infant stage of the monsters were still pretty underdeveloped. They act similar to like baby like animals, like for example, like baby lion cubs, baby cattle, and many other creatures. Some of them have mixed match parts. Like for example, one looks like a mix of like a tiger and a dragon, somewhat, I guess. And many others look absolutely crazy, like an ape with horns and have the ability to use, electricity. And another looks like a wolf but has attributes similar to a dragon and has the ability to use, lightning. Not electricity, but lightning, which is completely blood red. And many others had several heads and looked like lizards. As one of them being, wait first, being All Might says this. So, these are the creatures that are going to be fighting for us? As Izuku just says this. Yeah, just wait for a few months and they're probably going to be okay. But let me see the adults. As Izuku looks over and sees the adult monsters. The adult monsters were basically the same size as Izuku. Kind of. They look more humanoid and some even have like scars. Some even have like horns. Some that have like, monstrous like body parts. Like for example, one has like the body of like a snake. Many others had like, the faces of like different animals. And many others even looked even weirder. Some with, multiple arms and legs. Some with, multiple eyes. Some with the ability to use magic. Some that able to use, elemental powers. And many others that just have brute strength. As all of them look over and see Izuku. As they bow down. As Izuku just says this. So, who do I want to call you all? As they say this. Call us the children of Typhon. And we are here to serve you, father. As Izuku just says this. Good. As for, wait for a second. As Aizawa just says this. Izuku, as Izuku just says this. What is it, Aizawa? As she says this. So, does that technically mean that I have grandchildren? As Izuku just says this. That's out of the question. Either way, as all of the monsters that literally are technically adults say this. So that means you're our grandmother? Then who's our mother then? As Izuku says this. Avoiding the question, let's just bring it to, the armory. So, they were given hero-like costumes, but most of them are just the same color, being black, red, and, a bit of white and gray. And some even having gold trimming, which are for the commanders. As they all salute towards Izuku and many of the other heroes. So, after they saluted, Izuku tells them to just go back to the barracks, where they're going to be resting from now on instead of to the facility instead. So, after they were brought to the barracks, they started, started their training as, warriors or soldiers for this war. So, wait for a second. So, after doing that, Izuku starts leaving. While Izuku was leaving, Izuku bumps into another friend, or classmate, or student at this school. This person, or should I say, people, were the big three, being Mirio, Tamaki, and Nedri. They introduced themselves as they say that they were really sorry about, Izuku being being in the press all the time now because of his, monstrous heritage. As Izuku just says this, nice to meet you, miss. As she says this, oh, don't worry, you don't really need to call me miss. After all, we're technically the same age. Even though, technically, your physical age is more, older, but either way, you're pretty cool, I guess. Nice to meet you, the name's Mirio, and that's Tamaki over there, the shy girl. As she says this, hello, nice to meet you. As for the other girl, she introduces herself as Nedri, As Nedry says this, it's nice to meet you. Um, hello, Mr. Izuku. I heard that about, well, heard that you're actually a monster. Or should I be more specific? Like, you're the literal embodiment of monsters, or, as Izuku just says this, just call me the father of all monsters or whatever. Uh, Either way, it's nice to meet you all. Wait for a second. So, after talking to them a little bit, as one of them being Muriel asked this. So, Izuku, I heard that you're making a facility about, you know, ripping up your body parts and these body parts become actual monsters? Is that how you'll reproduce with, you know, as Izuku just says this, no, these are not actual like, they're technically more artificially made. Actual children of mine are actually much more powerful. Like, for example, I meant the Nemean lion, I meant. As they say this, Nemean lion? As Ezekiel just says this. Yes, I heard my child was killed by Heracles. But Heracles, well, decided to mercy kill him. Apparently, he said that he wanted to have revenge for me, my own child, and to have revenge on Zeus. And Heracles also wanted revenge on Zeus for creating him, and also wanted revenge for Hera, being Zeus's own wife, which he cheats on every single time. As Nedry started feeling a bit, or should I say, looking like she's getting a little bit guilty, as Ezekiel just says this. Anyway, after he basically mercy killed my son, he basically wore his skin as a pelt. And apparently, the skin was so powerful enough to basically block the lightning bolts of Zeus. And apparently, after he defeated Zeus that one time, he basically left Greece, and I don't know where he is now, but I'm hoping that I'm able to see his ancestor or something like that. Or maybe he might get reincarnated. Maybe help us. As for Nedry, she says this. I think I should be leaving. Come on, guys. As they say this. Oh yeah, we should start leaving, says Mirio. As Tamaki says this. Bye. Or whatever. As they leave. So, after talking to them, Izuku gets another idea. Izuku starts leaving the facility as Izuku goes back to his dorm room. Izuku starts sketching out some ideas. Ideas about what he's going to create. He's going to be creating another monster. Specifically, a monster that will act as the somewhat general of this entire monster army. Izuku is going to create one of his old, children. One of his most powerful ones. In fact, his first child. Being the Lernian Hydra. You probably know him, or it, from the Legend of Heracles as well. So, after testing out the idea, Izuku got some inspiration from another beast, being Yamata Onorochi, from Japanese mythology. So, after Izuku sketched out the idea, Izuku just falls asleep. After Izuku wakes up, Izuku decides to stroll around, the city to just look for some inspiration. So, Izuku looks around as several people start looking at him. Because after all, he did say in live television that he is the father of all monsters. As everybody is just looking at him, either afraid or just curious. So, when Izuku goes into a nearby park, Izuku starts looking around and sees a shrine. Izuku notices that the shrine is a shrine that worships Tamamo no Mai, or Tamamo no Mai, You probably know her from, Fate Grand Order or Fate Extra. But in actual mythology, she is one of the most dangerous monsters or yokai ever. One of the big three of monsters, actually, in Japanese mythology, right next to Yamata and Onorochi, I think, and a certain demon. You probably know her as well from Fate Grand Order, also known as Shuten Doji, also known as the Drunken Demon. So, when Izuku goes to that shrine, Izuku sees a clash of light. As Izuku moves back, Izuku sees the woman herself, Tamamo no Mai, as she says this. So, hello, fellow monster. Or should I just call you a yokai because we're basically the same thing? As Izuku just says this. So, I'm guessing that you're Tamano Momai. I meant Tamano. Or. I, actually, just wait for a second. Tamamo no Mai, I believe. As she says this. You're right. And after you arrived here, well, let's just say the other two monsters started getting afraid and also quite terrified of your presence. After all, you were born from a god, and for you being the first creator of the monsters, let's just say they were afraid. As Izuku just says this, I can definitely tell. As Tamamo no Mai says this, we actually wanted to ask you, would you want to join the Monster League? As Izuku just says this, Monster League. Wait for a second. As Tamamo no Mai says this, correct. This league will act as like a foundation for a brand new world, for both monsters, gods, and other creatures to coexist with humans. And we also want to help you defeat Zeus and the many other Greek gods that are trying to take over our land. Like seriously, that stupid bitch of a girl. I can't remember her name, but it was like Nyx or something. As Izuku just says this. Wait. Nyx? Do you mean the literal goddess of the night? As she says this. Yeah, and apparently his something, I think it was her husband, I think? I can't remember his name, but apparently he's the god of darkness. As Izuku just says this. Do you mean Erebus? As she says this. Yes, apparently they're bothering, what's his name? Tsukuyomi. As she says, Izuku says this. Wait, Tsukuyomi? I think he was the actual god of the moon? As she says this. Yeah, and apparently they're bothering him because they wanted to take over that territory. And apparently Artemis has been, sorry about that, wait for... Artemis has been fighting him as well. Apparently they're fighting, like fighting for the moon apparently. And also, apparently another god has been fighting there as well. And we also need some help from you. Apparently, Yamata Onorochi has been, you know, a bit bothering. Apparently, because of this war, he wanted to, well, attack us. So, we want your help. As Izuku just says this. So, who is this other god that's fighting for the moon again? As she says this. Well, apparently she's completely obscure, but we do know her full name. The Queen of the Moon of Jewish mythology, I think? Or the Jewish pantheon. We don't know her name, but we can definitely tell that she's definitely Jewish. As Izuku just says this. Then, do you know her from anything else? As she says this. Yeah, I heard that she's actually from the Bible. I do need to get some more information about this goddess. Either way, I will help you. But we're currently in a war against Zeus and the many other gods that are currently terrorizing the city. So, do we have a deal in helping each other out? As they say this. or her deal. As they shake hands, as in they hear a sound, the sound of a twig snapping. As Izuku looks over and sees one of the League of Villains members, being Shigaraki and, wait for a second, Konigiri watching. As Izuku just says this. As Konigiri says this, we should leave now. As for Tomura, she says this. Yeah, we should leave immediately. As they meet, as they instantly leave the scene. As Izuku, before he can catch them, Izuku slipped on a rock. As Izuku slammed his face onto the pavement. As Izuku just says this. God dang it. As, well, wait for a second. Tao no Mai says this. So, Izuku, are you okay? As Izuku just says this. Somewhat okay. My nose hurts. As she says this. Oh, and by the way, what should I address you as? Mr. Typhon? Or as Izuku just says this. Just Izuku. I should start leaving. Either way, our deal is, well, done. We're gonna be working together very soon, but before that, I should start going home. As she says this. Bye? So, after Izuku leaves, well, another monster comes out of the forest. As he says this. Did you actually make a deal with that monster? I mean, we are monsters, but dang, that guy is a beast. That aura, it was not even godly. Not even monsterly as well. It's both, but not at the same time. As she says this. Correct. That aura was definitely not godly or monstrous or whatever. As he says this. Even though I'm the king of all, well, Oni, that was terrifying. As she says this. I can't believe you're actually scared. Shootin' Doji. As he says this. Obviously, I mean, he calls himself the father of all monsters. Meaning that we're technically his children. And technically, he's our father, I think. But still, that's terrifying. As she says this. Either way, we need to start acting a little bit more accordingly. After all, we don't want to misstep. If we do, he's definitely gonna kill us. As he says this. You're right, Tamamo. If we do that, we're gonna be doomed. As Tamamo said this. We're gonna be working for him now. And if we do anything wrong, or anything that he dislikes, we're gonna be killed in an instant, including our own clan. As he says this. Yeah. Let's start leaving. Before any humans start, well, arriving. So, they disappear in black smoke. As they leave, a piece of hair. So, this will be the end of the episode. So yeah, I hope you like this episode and I hope you like the video. Comment and subscribe and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye!